Hello! Okay, let's see if this is all working. I seem to be getting audio feedback, so hopefully this is all working out. Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 2 of AI My Tutors. Just to let you know, as always, we'll be starting at 5 past. Sorry this is a minute late, I was having a few technical issues, but hopefully we won't have any more technical issues. But yeah, once you drop in, just let me know in the chat, and at 5 past we'll get this started. We've got one person in. Hello, moderator. Okay, just to let everyone know, we will be starting at 5 past. But if you've just joined us, if you wouldn't mind saying hi in the chat, how you've been, how your week's been, what you've been up to anything computer science, programming related, maybe even AI related. I've got a message from Luca. Hi, how are you? I'm doing fine, thank you. Had a pretty good week so far. Just been revising for GCSEs. Oh, okay. Yeah, GCSEs, a lot of people will have GCSEs this year. I'm guessing a lot of people will have mocks or mock exams this time of year. I'm guessing there's going to have to be a lot of studying for that. If anyone here is doing... Actually, no, better question. What kind of GCSEs is everyone doing? I know everyone has to do maths and I know everyone has to do English, but outside of that, what other ones are people taking? What kind of things do you have to study? Also, just to let everybody know, we will start at 5 past, which has just happened. So I'm going to get this started, and then if anyone jumps in, we'll catch them up. Lucas says, computing, history, double languages even. Can't wait to drop English at A-level. Yes, I couldn't wait to drop English at A-level as well. It wasn't my best subject. It wasn't my worst, but I'm definitely more of a mathsy, sciencey, computer science kind of person, so... I feel you, I do. Okay, let's get this show on the road. So, first of all, let's just have a quick check. Can everyone see the presentation on the screen? Please type yes in the chat if you can. Okay, Annabelle says yes. I'm going to assume that everyone else... Okay, Elaine has said yes. Fantastic. Okay, let's get started then. So, first of all, welcome back to My Tutor AI Squads. This is day 2. So, today, we are going to look at how AI works. That's the big question for today. We're going to look at how it works. We're going to look at some of the different algorithms used, particularly classification algorithms. And at the end of today, you will have built your own AI algorithm. But first, let's take a look at how AI works. So AI learns from experience, and that experience comes from the data that we feed into it. It's important to look at what data specifically we're giving it, as well as any possible problems with our data set, and we'll look at that a little bit more later on. But for now, from the data, the AI algorithms go through 3 basic stages. So 1, it takes the data. 2, it learns from said data. And then 3, it makes a prediction on what outcome should occur based on new data or testing data. So when it comes to these AI algorithms, there are different types of learning. There's 2 main types that we look at, and that's supervised and unsupervised. So supervised is where we explicitly tell a program what we expect the output to be, and then let it learn the rules that produce the expected outputs from the given inputs. And a common example with this would be something like image classification, which we're going to look at today. In unsupervised learning, on the other hand, we don't tell the program anything about what we expect the output to be. The program itself analyzes the data it encounters and then tries to pick out patterns and group the data in meaningful ways. So an example of this would be like a clustering algorithm, which would create groups based on its own parameters. So we don't tell it what we want the output to be, it kind of guesses what it thinks it should be. And this can actually be quite useful because it can give us parameters that a human may not even consider. So both of them have their benefits and problems. I've also included another algorithm on here. This is called reinforcement learning. It's not as common as supervised or unsupervised, but it's basically when AI learns through trial and error based on the feedback from its actions. Do we have any questions so far, or are you guys happy for me to keep going? If you guys are happy, just type yes in the chat. Okay, it seems like everyone's pretty happy with the information so far. If I'm going a bit too fast or I'm going a bit too slow, just let me know. I'm happy to take it at any kind of pace. But yeah, so the main focus of today, classification algorithms. So classification algorithms, very simply, is when we put things into categories or classes. So I'm going to pass this on to you now. Imagine you're a computer. I'm going to give you now a set of colors, and you have to classify these colors as either black or white. And this is the kind of thing that a computer would actually have to do. So in the comments now, I would like you to try and classify these colors one at a time. So I'm going to give you a color. I want you to think whether you classify it as black or white. So this first color, what would you classify that as? Would you classify it as black or white? Let's see everyone's responses. Okay, Luca thinks that it would be classified as black, and by the way, there's no right answers. I'll give you that. There's no right or wrong answers like with a computer. So I'm guessing the main consensus here is black. Okay, what about this color? White or black? How would you classify it? Okay, Annabelle says white. Okay, cool. Elaine also says white. Fair enough. I've had a lot of people say that this one is white. Luca said black. Okay, interesting. What about this one? This color here, would it be black or white? Okay, Luca says white. Annabelle also says white. So normally the first few ones, people are very strong, like the group is very certain on this is definitely black or this is definitely white. But as we get to a color like this, for example, sometimes the group splits. So I'm wondering where the group's going to go. Is it going to be black or white? What do you guys reckon? It's a bit of a weird one. It's a bit of a tough one. Okay, so 2 people said white, 1 person said black. That's the thing. People can't really decide. And finally, let's go with this one. What do you guys reckon? White or black? Okay, Elaine even said not sure. That's fair. Sometimes the computer would be like, I don't know. Okay, Annabelle said white, fair enough. And Luca said white. So here's the thing, that what you've just did there, that is basically what a computer has to do. We give it data, we tell it which ones it has to be, and it then has to try and figure out which category to put it in. So yeah, good job. You basically became a classification algorithm. So going back to the whole collecting data part, the main point I wanted to make there is that an AI is only as good as the data that it learns from. So this means you have to have reliable data and you've got to have a lot of it. So to then train a classification algorithm, the way it works is that you collect all your data, you separate it into classes. So for here, this is a am I looking at a cat or am I looking at a dog algorithm? And you collect your examples. We call these samples. You collect them, you split them into your classes, so the dog class and the cat class. You give that to the algorithm, and it tries to figure out whether or not it's looking at a cat or a dog. Does that all make sense so far? Do I have any questions? If not, just type yes in the chat. Okay, Annabelle's pretty happy. Elaine says it makes sense, fabulous. And Lucas says it makes sense as well. Awesome, right. In that case, let's get on to the really fun part of today, and that is creating your own AI algorithm using this Google program called Teachable Machine. You don't need to download anything for this, by the way. It's all in the browser, but I would recommend finding maybe 2 or 3 objects around your house that you want to classify using a webcam. So I found some objects in my house. I found this lovely skull here. I've got this, I'm not going to pronounce this wrong now, but anemonite. I can't pronounce it very well. And also I got a stapler. So finding objects around your house is going to be good for this task. And I'll show you how it works just now. So let me just get up Teachable Machine. Alrighty, and here it is. So it's just to find it, by the way, you type into Google Teachable Machine. It is the first one that comes up. There it is, Teachable Machine. And this is what it looks like. So I'll talk you through it, and then feel free to categorize or make algorithms of whatever you have in your house. So what you're going to do is once you're on this website, you are going to click Get Started. It will then bring you to this page here. It will ask whether you want to make an image, an audio, or a pose project. I'd recommend for this session that you make an image project, just because it's the easiest one to do. And it will ask whether you want a standard or embedded image model. You're looking for a standard model because you're going to be running this on your computer. You're not running this on any kind of microcontroller. So you're going to click the standard one. And then it brings you to this page here. This is your training page, if you will. So at the left-hand side here, you've got these things that say class 1 and class 2. You're going to rename them to whatever objects you want to classify in your house. So for here, I've got a stapler, so I'm going to make one class called stapler. Feel free to follow along with whatever objects you have in your house. Class 2, I will do skull. I'll leave this one for now. I'm just going to make 2 different image samples, but once you have your classes, then you can actually start to categorize stuff. Now this is where my webcam's going to go all funky, isn't it? So to add image samples, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can either upload from files, so you can take some images with your phone or camera or whatever you've got, or the easier way would be to use your webcam. So you can press webcam, and we'll want... There we go. Am I on the screen? Oh, fantastic. And then once you've got your webcam working, you can then start to use your objects. You can be in the frame if you want to, but it's important that you get your objects, you press hold to record, and it will start to take some image samples. It's also important at this stage with the image samples to make them as varied as you can. So with my skull here, I'm going to rotate him a little bit, I'm going to bring him closer and bring him further away, all that kind of stuff. I'd also keep in mind the amount of samples that you're using as well. You don't want to use too many samples because your computer may not be able to run it, but you don't want too few samples because then it may not be able to recognize it as much. And if you're having problems with your model, it's probably best to add a few more images in. So now that I've added all my lovely skull, I've done that for the wrong one, I'll just rename that to skull. Whoopsies. I'll rename this one to stapler. So now I've done all my skull images, I'll do the same for my stapler images. And there we go. So I'll maybe put a few more images in there actually. And then once you've created your image samples, I'm just going to take my webcam off there. It must be weird having 2 different me's in 2 different areas on the screen. That must be quite strange. But yeah, once you've created your 2 samples, then what's going to happen is Teachable machine is going to train on these images. So it's going to try and classify them, try and figure out any patterns. You don't really need to know what's actually happening there. But yeah, it's going to try and work. And then once it's done, in this preview section, it's going to export a model. So does that make sense to everyone? Is everyone giving this a go? Yes, awesome. Okay. I will give you guys a few minutes to do that while I drink my tea. If any problems come up, just let me know in the chat and I'll see if I can figure them out. Mine is probably going to take a little bit longer to run. And yeah. I'll just give it a few more minutes for you guys to have a go. Okay, I think my model is just about done. Yours might be still being in the process of being created, or maybe it's still training. Mine might take a little bit longer to train than all of yours because I am streaming and also training a artificial intelligent model at the same time. So hopefully yours will be a little bit quicker. In terms of image samples, by the way, I wouldn't recommend having like 300 or 400. I've seen students have like 500 and then wonder why their computers do not like it. So keep the image samples small for now. But yeah, once you've got this, you can then start to test your model. So hopefully other me will be back. There we go, there's other me. So currently, when it's just my face, it can't figure out whether or not it's looking at a skull or a stapler. But if I bring either one into frame, it should give a confidence level on whether or not it knows what it's looking at. So here, it is 100% clear that it's looking at a skull. Whereas if I bring the stapler in, it's got 100% confidence level that it's looking at the stapler. Even if I rotate it, it might change a bit slightly. Okay, it's not entirely sure when I rotate it. And then if I bring something like okay, it thinks that the anemonite is a skull because it doesn't know what an anemonite is. But that is the basic principle of how it works. And then if you want to use this in, have you tried calculator versus phone? It's struggling a little bit. That's quite interesting. You see, a phone and a calculator, I imagine, would look quite similar because they're like quite dark or reflective objects with a bunch of apps or buttons on it. I never thought of that. I should try that. I might try that if I can find a calculator somewhere in my room. I'm wondering what else have people tried. So Luca's tried calculator versus phone. What's everyone else tried? Okay, Annabelle has tried rubber versus sharpener. Okay. Those are quite similar looking objects. I wonder how good it is at figuring that out. Okay, what I'm going to do for this we've got about 5 more minutes in the stream, is I'll test another class, just have a look. If you're having any issues with your model, or you've got a really cool model that you want to share, that'd be great. Elaine is doing soft toy versus coffee cup. Well, I've got a coffee cup here, and it kind of looks like a soft toy, so I might do that as my last class. Also, I would recommend that if you're using Teachable Machine, to not go over 3 classes. It starts to get a little bit sad when you try and do that. So if you keep it on the low, it should be good. But one more thing I'll show you is the export model feature. So once you've tested out your model and you're happy with the confidence levels, it's working well, you can then use it in other projects. For example, if you wanted to use it in JavaScript, it's all here for you. You can use it. And yeah, you can use it in Python as well. It's all here for you, which could come in handy if you're doing a computer science project at GCSE. Michael says, I tried tissue and computer mouse and it cannot recognize the tissue. Interesting. One other thing I would recommend with these samples is that you have a kind of equal-ish number of samples. If you only have like 10 images of one and 100 of another, it might struggle a lot to figure out which is which. Whereas if it's more equal and you've got kind of the same variability, it's a lot easier for the computer to train. So keep that in mind. Equal sets, and a lot of data. Yeah, any other issues, anything, or maybe even good things? Not hearing any for now, so I'll create my last class and then we'll wrap up today. So you can add a third class, but I would also recommend, again, keeping it kind of the same image samples. So I'll say coffee cup. I liked the idea of the coffee cup from Elaine. And there we go. I'm quite glad for the most part that these models seem to be working though. It's quite good. Sometimes people make very big models or they have very unequal data sets and things start to struggle a little bit, but you guys seem to be doing okay, which is interesting, which is really good to see. Alrighty, we have got 1 minute left, so while my poor algorithm tries to train itself, I'll quickly wrap up this session, and then if you guys have got any questions about anything we've covered today, or anything artificial intelligence related, I'm happy to answer. But yeah, what we did today is we looked at the different types of artificial intelligent algorithms. We looked at different types of learning, including supervised and unsupervised learning. And we looked at a form of supervised learning, which is a classification algorithm. And then we went to build our own classification algorithms using objects around our house. We used Teachable Machine to do this, and we looked at also how to collect data and how to make sure that data is reliable, aka making sure that it's accurate enough and that we've got enough of it in order to produce a model. You can also then export these models in Python or JavaScript and use them in your own projects. I hope you've enjoyed this session. I've really enjoyed teaching about different classification algorithms, and if you're interested in making more artificial intelligent projects, I would recommend you stick around as we're going to be building a lot more next time. So thank you so much for showing up these sessions, and I will see you guys next week. If you've got any questions, now's the time to ask, but thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, Annabelle. Bye.